Hello, in this video we are going to do an introduction to trigonometry. We have done similar triangles before, then in similar triangles we have corresponding angles are equal, corresponding sides, the ratios are equal. So we didn't connect the angles with the sides. And in this lesson we are going to connect the angle and the sides. So we start with a right angle triangle, and in right angle triangle, the side across from the 90 degrees, we call it hypotenuse. So label a right angle triangle is very important because we are going to use a trig table to connect the angles and the sides. So when we label a right angle triangle, we need to pick an angle. So we pick this angle, we call it marked angle, and in a question, how are we going to pick the angle? So either it is the given angle, the angle given, then we pick that angle to label the triangle, or except 90 degrees, no angle is given, but you have one angle you want to solve, then we pick that angle. So if one angle given that is not 90 degrees, then we pick that angle, or no angles except 90 degrees given, but one angle we want to find, then we pick that angle. So once we pick an angle, then this angle we have one vertex and we have the two arms, initial arm, terminal arms. The two arms, two sides, we call them adjacent side. So both of them adjacent side, but the longer side of the right angle triangle, we give it another name, hypotenuse. So then the another side of the adjacent, except the hypotenuse, we call it adjacent side. So the third side, whatever left, we call it opposite. If we label this triangle using A, capital A, B, C, so at the angle we use capital letter. So the opposite side of angle B doesn't have letter B. So if the side AB, side CB, you have letter B, then they are adjacent side of angle B. And the 90 degrees opposite side, we give it another name, hypotenuse. So both of them are adjacent side, but we give the 90 degrees opposite side with hypotenuse. Okay, so now we are going to see how the mathematicians connected the angles with a side. So we have three right angle triangles in this diagram. So this is the smallest. Then we have a medium right angle triangle, and also we have a larger, the largest right angle triangle. So we have three right angle triangle here. And based on these three right angle triangle, we are going to do the calculation to see the ratios. Opposite of hypotenuse, adjacent of hypotenuse, opposite of adjacent. So this is both sides equal. So we have these two angles equal. So this is 45 degrees. Based on this angle that is not 90 degrees, we are going to label this triangle. So the 90 degrees opposite side is a longer side, it's hypotenuse, and we have two adjacent sides of 45 degrees. So one is the hypotenuse, another side we call it adjacent. Then whatever left is opposite. Okay, so we are going to count how many degrees for the opposite. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the adjacent 1, 2, 3, 4. So you will see that this is opposite is what we had before for the equation of a line. This is a rise, this is a run. So rise over run is opposite over adjacent, and before we call this slope. So opposite over adjacent is 1. And hypotenuse is hard for us to count by using the degrees, but we have the Pythagorean theorem. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So we sub in these two sides, then square root it. We have run squared plus ran squared. Then it will give us the length of the triangle, which is 45 degrees. So we have 45 degrees squared. Then it will give us the length of the hypotenuse. Also, we could call this one is a distance between these 2 points. So then we have square root 16 plus 16 is 32. Then we are going to do the calculation of the ratio. So opposite over hypotenuse is 4 over square root 32. Use your calculator, we are going to have 0.7071. Then after that, we are going to do the adjacent over hypotenuse. So the opposite adjacent, they are equal. So adjacent over hypotenuse will be 4 over square root 32. So give us the same answer as opposite over adjacent. Okay. Then we continue to do for the medium triangle. So we count. The opposite side is 8, adjacent side is 8. So actually it's just each side doubled. Then this one will be 2 square root 32 because it's doubled. Then the ratio we are going to have 8 divided by square root 32. 2 times square root 32, it gives you 0.7071. So same thing, this one 0.7071. Rise over run give you the slope is same, is 1. So for the largest triangle is 12 for the opposite and adjacent. So this is 3 times of the smallest triangle. So this hypotenuse will be times 3. The scale factor is 3. Then 12 over 3 square root 32, you will see it gives you the same ratio. And this is 1. And the common thing is the angle is same, 45 degrees. So then the mathematician find out, okay, as long as in a right angle triangle, this angle is same, then the ratio will be same. So in future, we are going to just use 45 corresponding to this 0.7071. For opposite over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse is this one, and opposite over adjacent is 1. It's true for all 45 degrees right angle triangle. It doesn't matter how the size of that right angle triangle. So the question next one asks you, why are the ratios are same when the triangles are different? So we have 3 different triangles, smallest one, medium, and the largest one. Why the ratios are same? The reason for that is this is a same angle, so you have 2 corresponding angles equal. So all the triangles, they are similar. So the triangles are similar, then the ratios will be same. And by using this property, the mathematician created a trig table. So this is a trig table for degrees, that is whole number, integers. So from this one, you will see corresponding to degree 1, the opposite over hypotenuse is same. Adjacent over hypotenuse, for any triangles, they are going to be same. Opposite over adjacent will be this one. And we are going to check for 45 degrees. Yes, it is true. Opposite over adjacent, 0.7071. Adjacent over hypotenuse is this one. Sorry, opposite over hypotenuse, 0.7071. Opposite over adjacent, this is also we call slope, is 1. So they are same. And we are going to use this property to solve unknown side, unknown angles in right angle triangles. Okay. So that is our examples on the next page. So this is a solving for side. So in this triangle, the step 1, we need to pick up the angle. Which angle are we going to pick up? We pick the given angle if we have an angle given, but make sure don't pick 90 degrees. So based on this angle picked, then these 2 sides will be the adjacent side. And the 90-degree opposite side, the longer side, we call it hypotenuse. So another side we call adjacent. Then whatever left, the third side is opposite. And in order to find the opposite, adjacent is given. So in the ratio, we want one unknown. We don't want two unknown. So we don't want to pick opposite over hypotenuse. And also we don't want to pick adjacent over hypotenuse because we want to solve for opposite, not hypotenuse. So we want to solve for y. Then we are going to pick the ratio opposite over adjacent and use a trig table to find 25 degrees. What's the ratio for, what's the value for the ratio opposite or adjacent? So it's 15 degrees. Then so 15 degrees opposite or adjacent is 0.2679. So we are going to copy it here, 0.2679. Then, so we are looking for opposite or adjacent to the ratio, and that is our last column in the trig table. So we look for the 25 degrees. 25 degrees, and the last column is 0.4663. So we copy this one here. The 25 degrees opposite or adjacent is 0.4663. It doesn't matter what triangle, how big it is, as long as right angle triangle, the 25 degrees opposite side or adjacent will give you this ratio. And we sub in the opposite is y, adjacent is 8. Then we want to solve for y. We move the 8 to other side by doing opposite operation is multiplied by 8. Then we are going to have y equals, so we multiply 8, we are going to have y equals 3.7304. Okay. If the question didn't ask how many decimal places, you can just keep 4 of them. If the question asks you 2 decimal places, then the third digit is 0, it's less than 5, we are going to round it off. So it will be 3.73 if for 2 decimal places. So approximately 3.73. And for the next question, step 1, we need to pick an angle. So this angle given, we pick this one. And based on this angle, we have 2 adjacent sides. The 90-degree opposite side, we give it a name, hypotenuse. Then another side, we call it adjacent. And whatever left is opposite. And also you will see the opposite side of angle A is BC. We use 2 letters represent the side. 1 letter angle A represent the angle, or 3 letters CBA angle. So in this question, we want to find the hypotenuse and the adjacent given, so we don't want to use opposite. We don't want 2 unknowns in the ratio. So we are going to use adjacent over hypotenuse. This is the ratio on the trig table. So adjacent over hypotenuse for 17 degrees. So adjacent over hypotenuse is this third column. Okay, 1, 2, 3, third column, and it's 17 degrees. It's 0.9563 is this one. So we go back 0.9563. This is for 17 degrees. Then equals, sub in the adjacent is 6. Our hypotenuse is y. And for this one, the y is at denominator. We want to use a cross multiply. So we are going to have 0.9563 times y equals 6 times 1. Then in order to solve for y, we want to bring the 0.9563 to other side. This is multiplication, so opposite operation to multiplication is division. So when we move something to other side, we do the opposite operation. Opposite operation to multiplication is division. So get your calculator out you will have 6.274. If it's 2 decimal places, then it will be 6.27. So most of the time on your test, you will be asked to keep 2 decimal places. So that is looking for side. The next example will be looking for angles. So step 1 always saying pick the angle, then label it. So this one only 90 degrees given, then we don't have other angles less than 90 degrees given, so we are going to pick the unknown angle, which one you want to find. Based on this angle, we have 2 adjacent sides to this angle, and the longer side is hypotenuse. Opposites are 90 degrees, and another side will be adjacent. So adjacent means next to this angle, and whatever left is the opposite. So we have 2 ratios given, 2 sides given, so we want to use these 2 sides to write the ratio out, adjacent or opposite. So it should be another way, because in the trig table it's opposite or adjacent. So we are going to use opposite or adjacent. So be careful which one you are going to pick the ratio. And in the chart, we don't have adjacent or opposite. Opposite or adjacent, 10 divided by 6. Then it will be approximately 1.667. Then we are going to look at the chart. So it's opposite or adjacent and 0.667. So we are going to see 0.66 is 1.667, sorry. So 1.6667, this one will be the closest one to 1.6667. So look at this degree, so it is 59 degrees. Then we go back and write it down. So from the table, it's 59 degrees from trig table. And it is corresponding to 1.6643. Okay, so we are going to do the same thing to the next question. Pick the unknown angle, and they have 2 adjacent sides next to this angle. The longest side we call it hypotenuse, and another side we label it adjacent. Then whatever left is opposite. So from this one we use adjacent, because adjacent hypotenuse are given, so we use these 2 given sides to find the ratio. So adjacent is 8, hypotenuse is 12, then you do the calculation, is 0.6667. So from the table, okay, from trig table, we are going to see adjacent or hypotenuse, which angle is close to 0, the ratio close to 0.6667. So we are going to have adjacent or hypotenuse, it will be the 3rd column. Okay, 3rd column, and it is 0.6667. So we are going to check. Adjacent or hypotenuse is this 3rd column and 0.66. You will see it's in order from largest to smallest. So you can find that is 48 degrees. So go back. So this one is 48 degrees, and the corresponding ratio is 0.6691. Okay, and we only have 1 page of the trig table, and if we have a book of trig table, we could find out exact, more accurate numbers, or maybe 48 point something. Our trig table, we have only whole numbers, so we just round it to whole numbers. Then this part will be word problem. So this is where we are going to use these trig ratios, the trig table, using the ratios to connect the angle and the size to find the unknown size or unknown angle. So this one, a tourist is standing 40 meters away from an object, the tower, okay, from a tower. Then he is 1.8 meters tall. So we just ignore the difference from the eye level to the ground and the height to the ground. So we just, okay, this is 1.8. The angle of elevation is from horizontal look up. This is 20 degrees. Then it asks you how tall is this tower. Okay. And from here you could see we have a right angle triangle here, and we want to find this from here to here, the length of this side of this right angle triangle. So in order to connect the side with angle, we need to label this right angle triangle. So we pick the angle first. Step 1, pick up the angle that you want to label this triangle. So once we pick it up, then you have two adjacent sides. Adjacent side means next to this angle. So two adjacent sides, the longer side, opposite 90 degrees, we give it a name, hypotenuse. So another side we call adjacent. Whatever left is opposite. Then in this triangle, we are going to see, we want to find opposite side, adjacent given. So we are going to use the ratio opposite over adjacent. It will be 20 degrees, so check your chart. Opposite or adjacent will be the last column. Then 20 degrees is 0.3640. So 0.3640. So get it from your trig table. Then opposite is x, adjacent is 40. Then we do the solving for x, we move the 40 to other side by doing opposite operation, so it's multiplication. Then use your calculator, you will find out the x equals 14.56. And this is this part. And below you will have 1.8 there. So the total height of this tower will be 14.56 plus 1.8. You will have 16.36 meters. Then you write a statement. Therefore, the tower is 16.36 meter high. Okay, so from this question, you will see you need to pick the angle in a right angle triangle that is not 90 degrees, and based on this angle to label the hypotenuse and adjacent. They are the adjacent sides to this angle picked. Then whatever left is opposite. Then we are going to, from the trig table, to find 20 degrees, the ratio for opposite or adjacent equals what? Then subbing the information given, then we solve for the unknown. Then after that, we need to add the height of the tourist to that in order to find the total height of the tower. Okay. Then next one is a photographer is. So the next one is a photographer is standing on a cliff and look down at a boat out in the water. So she is 1.6 meters tall. And the angle of depression is from horizontal look down. It's 25 degrees. And the boat is 350 meters from the cliff. It asks you how tall is the cliff. So this is above the cliff and look down. So they want to ask you this, the height of the cliff. So we are going to create a triangle, okay, right angle triangle. So we need right angle triangle, then in this right angle triangle, we are going to pick one angle. When we want to connect angle with side together in a right angle triangle, we need to pick an angle first. 25 degrees is given, so we pick this angle. Then based on this angle, we are going to label this triangle. So these two sides, they are the adjacent sides. The longer side, we call it hypotenuse. Another side called adjacent. Then whatever left is your opposite. Then in this triangle, we want to find the opposite, adjacent given. So we are going to, from the trig table, to find 25 degrees opposite over adjacent, what the ratio is. So 25 degrees opposite over adjacent. So 25 opposite adjacent is your last column, is 0.4663. So 0.4663. That equals x over 350. Then use your calculator, find out the x. Then when we want to solve for x is at numerator, so we could move the 350 to other side by doing opposite operation. So this is division, opposite operation will be multiplication. So we have x equals 350 times 0.4663, then we are going to have 163.205. So this is your x value, and because the person has a height 1.6 meters, so we need to get rid of this 1.6 meter. Then we have the height of the cliff. Then you will have 161.605 is 161.605 meter high. Okay, so this is for this angle of depression. And the next question is, the diagram is not given, so you need to draw a diagram first. If for a trigonometry question, if the diagram not given, then you need to draw it. So the ladder is 15 feet long. The angle formed between the leg of the ladder and the ground is 27 degrees. So we draw a ground, okay? And the ladder will be here. The leg of the ladder is formed with a ground is 27 degrees. So it asks you how far, so this is a wall, 90 degrees, okay? So it asks you how far is the foot of the ladder to the wall, okay? So asks you for this one, and also asks you how high the ladder will reach on the wall, so x and y. We need to find these two things. So this is a right angle triangle, and in order to connect the side with the sides with the angle, we need to label this triangle. Then we could use a ratio corresponding to the angles. So step 1, we pick the angle that is not 90 degrees. Then you have two adjacent sides. The longer side, we call it hypotenuse, that is opposite side of the 90 degrees. Okay. And another side is adjacent. Whatever left, we call it opposite. So 27 degrees, we are going to get it from the chart. So first one, we want to find for x, so adjacent unknown. Then the ladder length hypotenuse is given. So check the chart. 27 degrees, adjacent over hypotenuse is 0.8910. So 0.8910, then it equals, adjacent is x, hypotenuse is 15. So we move 15 to other side, doing opposite operation, then we have x equals 15 times 0.890 give us 13.365. And for the other side, we could use opposite over hypotenuse. Then check the chart again. It will be first column 0.4540. Equals y over 15. Then y is at numerator. We are going to move the 15 to other side by doing opposite operation times 15. So 15 times 0.4540, it will give you 6.81. So this is a height. Then we could write a statement. Therefore, the foot of the ladder is 13.365 feet from the wall. This is a horizontal distance, and the ladder reaches 6.81 feet on the wall. And for the second height, you also could use c squared equals a squared plus b squared to solve it. So c is your hypotenuse, 15, and a is one side of the right angle triangle, then plus y squared. Then you can go from there. Okay, it should give you the same answer. So y squared then y equals square root 15 squared minus 13.365 squared. Use your calculator, you should have 6.81. Okay, thanks for watching.